Poppy here, Poppy Swampwater. When I was a little girl, I grew up in Possum Trot. And if you believe that, I got a bridge I want to sell you. No, really. I grew up in Possum Trot. And every other week, a wonderful train would come right past Possum Trot on the outskirts of town. It was called the Santa Fe Chief, and it was a streamliner. It was a diesel train, not an old steam engines. I remember those too, but this was a big streamliner. And it was called the Santa Fe Chief. And the Santa Fe Chief would come whizzing through town real quick. Like, look out, here she comes, she's coming. Look out, there she goes, she's gone. Oh, I loved that. Watch that train. And it was painted on the front of the train. It was a bright orangey, well, it was red. Oh, a red-orange color with yellow around, and it went around the sides of the engine a little bit. And they called that paint job the war bonnet, because when you saw it from the side, it looked like an Indian chief's headdress on it. The war bonnet, the Santa Fe Chief. Oh, I wanted to ride that train so bad, but it was just fun watching it. Well, when it went by, there was always a man on the very last train car. And the last train car had a little balcony that went out on the back of it. And this man knew he was coming through Possum Trot, and he wanted to wave at us, because the whole town, when somebody said, the train's coming, we'd all rush over to the train tracks. The people in the stores and the blacksmith and everybody, the man at the gas station, we'd drop everything and go run down to the tracks just so we could see the Santa Fe Chief go by. And with that war bonnet paint job. And on the back was the owner, the head big guy of the Santa Fe Railroad. He was the president of the Santa Fe. And he would get on that back balcony when he was coming through town, and he'd always wave at us when he went by. And we'd all, about 85 of us, we have a small town, we'd all be out there waving at him. But he was so nice, he knew he was coming through town, and so we would wave at him. Well, this happened every so often, and we'd all run down to the tracks. Well, then one day we noticed the train came through, and that last car wasn't on there. And we thought, what happened? And the man wasn't on it. And we were all standing around the tracks wondering, well, this just ruined our whole day. But come to find out, that man, who was the president of the railroad, wanted that last car to be made into an upgraded, nice office for him. He wanted new desk in there, and he wanted nice walnut shelves inside, and he wanted real pretty drapes inside made out of red velvet. And so the train went into San Bernardino, California, where it would stop and then turn around and come back. And so in San Bernardino, there was a big train yard there, a workshop. And they took the train car off for the president, and they put it on a siding, and they pushed it with a little steamer. They would push that train car back into a grove, kind of like on a track of its very own in the eucalyptus trees. And it was supposed to sit there for a little while until the workmen could get around to fixing it up just like the owner wanted it. And they put the windows in the train car down a little bit, probably about 8 inches down across, so there'd be circulation going through the train car. Anyway, one day the president realized that he left some important papers in his old desk in there. So he came back, this was about a week later, and he came back and went over the tracks over to the little grove of eucalyptus trees where his office train car was on the siding. And he went up the stairs to the platform and in the back door, and he started going through his desk. He was looking for some certain papers in there, and behind him, he heard a strange noise and a bang and then a fluttering, and he thought, oh, what's going on? And he turned around and he looked down at the way at the other end of that train car, and here was a little sparrow that was fluttering around back there, and then it went out the window. And he thought, oh boy, I scared her, I'm so sorry. Now, the president of the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe Railroad loved birds. He was he's an animal lover, but he really loved birds. So he went back there to where the little bird had flown from, and sure enough, his hunch was right. She had a nest made in the end of that train car at the other end on the inside, and it was kind of made up on the seats, the back of the seats a little bit, the last seat and in the corner. And he looked in there, and there were 5 little eggs in that nest. Oh, that little bird had picked out a wonderful spot. She could fly in and out that back window, or the side back window, and she could sit on the nest in there. But when he came in, he scared her, and she flew out and away. And he felt so bad he disturbed her. So anyway, he got his papers, and he went out the back door and down the stairs off of his little platform back there. And as he watched, he saw that little bird out in the eucalyptus trees, and she circled around, and she came back into that window, back into her nest, and sat on those eggs in the train. Oh, what a perfect spot she had. So as the president of the railroad was leaving to get back into his car, he ran into one of the workers and he said, by the way, I don't want you to start working on my office in that train car for about 4 weeks. Don't start. I don't care if it's 4 weeks or 6 weeks. Don't start now. There's a little bird in there, and she's sitting on a nest of eggs, and I don't want to disturb her until those little birds hatch and they can fly out of the train car on their own when they're big enough to fly out on their own. But they've got it so nice in there right now, I'd rather just wait for my office. So the man said, it's your train car, it's your railroad, okay, we'll wait. And so they waited. Well, the people in Possum Trot were looking for the train, and when it came by, it didn't have that car on the back anymore. And they thought, what's happened? What's gone wrong? Well, it had parked up in San Bernardino, and it was sitting on the tracks in the eucalyptus grove waiting to get work done. So they didn't see it for a while. They had nobody to wave at or anything. They were disappointed. But you know what? That little bird hatched her eggs, and the little ones started to flutter around, and they flew out of the train car and out into the eucalyptus trees. And so the man from the train garage called up and said, your birds have flown out. Shall we start working on the train car now? He says, now you can work on it. They were more important than my train car by far. And the guy on the other end of the phone thought, well, all right, if that's what you think. So they started working on it. And then they got the train up and running and all beautified again. And it started going through Possum Trot with that last car on it again with the balcony on it. And the president of the railroad would walk out there again and he'd wave to all the people in Possum Trot as he went by. It was a short visit, but they enjoyed doing that. And you know, that man had compassion, the president of the railroad, of the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe. He had compassion for just that little sparrow. He waited a long time for her to do her thing. And that's the way the Lord is with us. The Bible even tells us, Jesus said it. He said, don't you guys know that I love the little sparrows? I know every sparrow, every bird that's in the sky. And I know when that little sparrow falls. I even know that. I care about my creation. I care about my sparrows. And the people were astonished at his words that he was that intimate. So with that in mind, I have a wonderful song. And it's called His Eye is on the Sparrow. And this is what Jesus had told them. Again, excuse my low voice. Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely when I've got Jesus, God's only Son? For Jesus is my best friend, my help and comfort is He. For His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. So whether you're in your house, or you're shut in, or you're in a nursing home or assisted living, or just lonely in your house, you know the Lord Jesus Christ. He's got His eye on you. You're worth so much to Him. If that little sparrow was worth that much to the president of the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe Railroad, God says you're worth so much because His eye is on the sparrow too. What a God we serve. Okay, bye-bye. Take care of those birds.